Good afternoon. We are now entering into our last session. This promises to be an exciting one. This is our town hall meeting in which we will start to talk about the issues of today relative to what are the steps for minority students to become an engineer. But before we do that, we would like to take this opportunity to introduce Dr. James E.K. Hildreth, who is our leader. He calls himself our cheerleader. He is an expert within his own right as an infectious disease researcher, and innovator and inventor. He is also leading the most important charge this year, at this time, this century, for COVID-19, not only for the state of Tennessee, but nationally. Dr. James E.K. Hildreth is also the individual who sparked the notion of writing this grant for a science minority consortium when they established the Empower Conference that looked at ways in which we could attract Black males into medical schools. And he has done a lot in that regard. But what has been very exciting has been his commitment to engineering and to STEM. And we would like to take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Hildreth, who will now also introduce the other 5 presidents that are on the call. We defer at this point to Dr. Hildreth, who will now acknowledge the other presidents from the other schools and talk a little bit about the importance of the memorandum of understanding that we have negotiated as leaders with Tennessee State University, the School of Engineering, under the leadership of Dean Hargrove. Dr. Hildreth.
Thank you, Pat. Can you all hear me? So first, let me just say welcome. I'm sorry this has to be virtual, but under the circumstances, I'm just happy we can all get together. I do want to thank and congratulate Dr. Matthews-Juarez for putting together this very important consortium of minority schools for science and STEM. This is really, really important, and I'm really excited about it. I'd also like to acknowledge our neighbor and partner, Fisk University. Meharry and Fisk have a long, long history of partnerships and academic programs and training of students. So I'm really excited that we could partner with them in this endeavor. I'd also like to thank the presidents, the faculty, and the staff at Payne, Lemoyne, Lane, and TSU for their support in helping to make this possible for our students, because that's what this is really all about, is empowering our students. And as always, I'd like to thank the folks from One Joshua Group who always do a superb job of logistics for these programs. Let me just say that the importance of this consortium lies in the importance of getting minority students interested in and engaged in STEM, particularly engineering. Engineers will play a critical role in solving all of the remaining grand challenges faced by the country and by the world. The world population now stands at 7.5 billion, I think, and the questions arise that represent the grand challenges. How are we going to feed that many people? The amount of arable land is not increasing. How are we going to provide them all with clean water? How are we going to provide energy for their needs? And then how are we going to design new medicines and technologies to keep them healthy? All of these challenges will in fact be solved by engineers and people in STEM professions. And I would argue that we have to have all of the talent available around the world and in this country for sure to solve those problems. And that means that minority students, especially African Americans, have to be involved in this, and we have to find a way, especially to get women involved in these challenges. And that is why this consortium of schools for STEM and science is so very important. And let me just say to the students who are going to be a part of this is a great opportunity to find mentors, to get your questions answered, to find peers who have similar interests to you, to form support groups. And all of these things will be very important as we move forward. And let me just say, and I mean this most sincerely, watching what is happening in our country and in the world, to the students, I hope it's obvious to you how much we need you right now. We need your talents, we need your ingenuity, we need your energies. We just plain need you to be interested in solving these problems. And I think this consortium will help you get ready to do just that. And so with that, I'd like to acknowledge my fellow presidents, and I know they're going to be having some words to say to the students, but I really do want to let all of the students know that Dr. Glover, Dr. Jones, Dr. Johnson-Dean, Dr. Newkirk, Dr. Hampton, all of them are as committed as I am to making you transformed and ready to change the world. And so I hope you'll take advantage of their support, my support, and this wonderful consortium that's been put together for you. Because I think with this and with the things that you'll do as you go through your undergraduate studies, you really can change the world. And that is my hope for you. And I'm really excited to be a part of it. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference and the workshop and the town hall. And anything that we can do at Meharry to make this program more impactful, just please let us know. Thank you, Dr. Matthews-Juarez, as always.
Thank you, Dr. Hildreth. Okay. I would like to take this opportunity to offer Dr. Hampton, Logan Hampton, opportunity to say hello. Dr. Newkirk, a opportunity to say hello as well. Carol Johnson-Dean, who is a colleague and a friend of mine at Lemoyne On, to say hello, as well as Cheryl Evans-Jones and Glenda Baskin Glover. So if we can turn on their mic and cameras for a short minute, that would be great, in acknowledgement of the MOU. And then we'll come back to Dr. Hargrove.
Dr. Matthews-Juarez, thank you so much for this opportunity. And thanks to the entire consortium for this visionary commitment to advancing engineers and those potential engineers at Lane College. As I travel about meeting alums, I, from time to time, will run into our alumni who will tell me about a program that used to be at Lane College, where students would begin their studies at Lane College, and then they would complete their engineering studies at TSU. And I have longed since 2014, when I arrived on this campus, to have this program available to our students again. And so I am absolutely excited. I'm excited to see the names of my colleagues on the list participating in the forum today. And I'm happy to see my colleague presidents who join us on tonight. And many thanks to all of the partners for your leadership and for your vision and commitment in this program. Our students will benefit greatly from it. Thank you.
And Dr. Hampton, I must say to the group, you were a cheerleader and all the way there when I spoke to you on the phone and when we first got the grant. And so thank you so much. Okay. Carol Johnson-Dean.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Patricia Matthews-Juarez. I have to say that Dr. Patricia and I go back a very long way, having been at Fisk University together. And so I'm truly honored to be here with her today, because it's really exciting that our journey in education and in this area is definitely connecting together once again. I can't really say enough about how important this work is, and I have to really give a great deal of credit to you and also to Dr. Hildreth for the visionary leadership. And Meharry has really been a shining star through this very terrific time that we're having with COVID. And it's really been a blessing to particularly the historically Black college just to have leadership on this topic as we try to navigate this new world. I will say that I'm also honored to work with our Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Sherry Painter, who herself is a STEM professor here at Lemoyne College. And she certainly has been pushing us to be involved in these kinds of activities. And we know how important it is when we see the huge number of disparities that exist in so many science and STEM fields across this country, and the importance of the future for our young people to be involved, invested, and well educated. Thank you for opening the doors. I have truly enjoyed all of the comments that were made, and I'm sure that our students really learned a lot from the wonderful leaders, professors, and entrepreneurs that you've had on today. It's really been a blessing, and thank you again so much for having us. Thank you so much for the MOU. We are very excited, as Dr. Hampton said.
Thank you so much, Carol. And we look forward to seeing each other again very soon. Cheryl Evans-Jones, is she here with us? She is. Cheryl Evans-Jones, would you like to say a few words? Your mute is on.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. I was having some technical problems, so, and I'm sorry.
We know that you guys are in a storm down there.
It seems to have calmed right now. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, and we can see your beautiful face too.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Matthews-Juarez, Dr. Hildreth, to my fellow presidents, and to all who are assembled here this evening. This is a really exciting opportunity for us as well. We are delighted to be a part of this consortium. Our experience here at Payne was similar to that of Dr. Hampton's. When I joined Payne College about 27 or so years ago, we had a similar agreement. And we are indeed excited and very enthusiastic to be able to offer this opportunity to our students again. We want to thank those who are responsible, those outside of Payne College, others who participated in the MOU. And I'd also like to especially thank members of the Payne College team, Dr. Martin, our Provost Vice President of Academic Affairs, as well as the chair of our Math, Science, and Technology Department, Dr. Raoul Peters. But again, we are just excited. We know that this is very important work. STEM disciplines are important to us. They are now and the future. And we are just delighted and look forward to the opportunities that will be afforded to our students in the institution through this consortium. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, I don't know you, but I'm going to get to know you. We'll talk a little bit about Dr. Hance. Payne was on the Department of Education's mind when we set up this consortium. So we welcome you aboard. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Dr. Berger is here instead of Dr. Newkirk. Dr. Newkirk is the interim president of FISC. Dr. Newkirk is away, but Dr. Berger, would you like to say a few words on behalf of FISC?
Yes, FISC is delighted to be a partner in the Alliance, and I'm bringing greetings from President Newkirk and Provost Jones, who also couldn't be here tonight. So we are really committed to transitioning students, preparing them at FISC in the bachelor level, and then transitioning them to advanced degrees. And in particular, we have master's degrees in science, in chemistry, biology, and physics. And actually to bring some concrete recent examples. Two of our students who earned their degree masters at Fisk in physics, Jonathan Reynolds and Adrian Parker, they both transitions into PhD in engineering at TSU. So, and they recently graduated around a year ago. So, you know, it's with small numbers that we can address the problem of underrepresentation of African Americans in STEM. But these are two examples that we know we can make an impact, even with a small school like Fisk of our size. Sometimes problems can be solved even with small numbers. If you look at the productivity of PhDs that are awarded to African Americans, Fisk overall via the Bridge program transitions about 20% of the national output in PhD in physics. We do that with a network of institutions. I mentioned TSU, but also with Vanderbilt and another 14 other schools that we have created a network on the national scale. So we are also interested in transitioning our science students into BAs in engineering via dual degree. So we will be looking into expanding this program. We're very interested in having 3 years at Fisk in a science major, and then 2 more years in engineering. So in 5 years, they can earn 2 degrees, one from Fisk in science and one from the partnering institution in engineering. So we'll be looking at talking to partners in this area.
Thank you so much, Dr. Berger. Dr. Glenda Glover will be not on the call, but Dr. Hargrove is. Dr. Glover was an initial mover and shaker, and we were very happy to have her. I would like to take this opportunity, if we can put Dr. Hentz on the call. Dr. Hentz, we would like to take this opportunity to present to you officially and formally the MOU with Meharry as the lead, Fisk as our partner, with the School of Engineering at Tennessee State, with Hampton, Dr. Hampton, who represents Lane College, Dr. Johnson Dean, that represent Lamont Owens College, Dr. Cheryl Evans Jones, that represents Payne College, and Dr. Hargrave, that represent TSU, and Dr. Berger, who represents Newkirk for Fisk, the former MOU to establish a dual degree program in engineering for these colleges. So we thank you so much, and we look forward to our work together. And now I turn this over to Dr. Hargrove.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Matthews-Juarez. So on behalf of Dr. Glenda Glover, we are so excited about this partnership. This is a reflection, I believe, of the leadership of Dr. Glover, reaching out to institutions, outstanding institutions, outstanding HBCUs, to help produce graduates in high need fields. And the institutions that are involved, I have been in some way, shape, or form affiliated with them. Lamont Owen in my hometown of Memphis, out doing great things. Dr. Hampton, I visited your institution years ago and initiated that transfer program with your fine institution. And I would go far as to say we did have a couple of students who actually transferred to TSU and did receive their degrees. And having Payne is an outstanding addition. And Dr. Berger, I served as the advisor for Dr. Parker and Mr. Reynolds as well, coming out of FIS with that strong physics program that you have there. And so we are just excited about this collaboration to address the need. So I mentioned earlier that there are about 140,000 engineers that are produced per year, but only about 4.2% of those are of African-American descent. So there's a lot of work to do. And for TSU, and there are about 14 other HBCU engineering programs that produce about a third of the engineering graduates in the US. And so this partnership allows us to increase that number, partnering with outstanding liberal arts institutions and Tennessee State University with its accredited College of Engineering and the disciplines that we offer. More so, every student also has an opportunity to still get a degree from their institution, or shall we say their home institution, in a STEM discipline, as well as pursue and get a degree in engineering from Tennessee State University. So those participants will walk out with 2 degrees to enter the workforce or entrepreneurship or graduate school, well prepared to go into engineering. And so I want to commend the strong support of the presidents of these fine institutions, Dr. Glover for her relentless support of the College of Engineering at Tennessee State, and our outreach and working with liberal arts colleges that are part of this partnership, such that we can increase the number of graduates in the field of engineering and make a contribution to the workforce here in the US. So thank you so much. And again, we look forward to starting this. My commitment to the presidents, I plan to visit every one of those schools by the end of the academic year, and look forward to recruiting students. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hargrove. Now we'll move into our 545 program. We're going to try to stay on task. We are delighted that we have had such a outstanding session, and that we will now defer this discussion again to Dr. Hargrove, who will lead the panel with Dr. Pollard-Larkin, Dr. Valentine Miller, and himself as one of the speakers. We have a series of questions that the panel will introduce themselves, and will then begin to talk about the kinds of questions that and responses that may be driving some of the questions that students may have but are reluctant to ask. Dr. Hargrove.
So as the title implies, we as professionals, whether we are in academia or industry, are playing our unique roles in promoting STEM and the pursuit of degrees in the profession. And so myself, as well as the panelists, we would like to entertain questions coming from our audience to learn, for those that are interested in not only the profession, but how you get prepared in this profession. As a potential engineer, what do you do as an engineer? To pursue an advanced degree, where's are so the best places to get an advanced degree, and what type of funding that you can obtain to get an advanced degree. A good example is a program with Fisk and Vanderbilt and Fisk and Tennessee State University, allowing you get a master's or a PhD in engineering from partnering schools. Those are the types of relationships in the academic space are needed for us to make that increase the number of graduates. From an industry standpoint, those companies investing in programs, providing internships, as well as eventual permanent employment, those are partners that are needed as well. But I would also add that the MISSIP grant, supported by the Department of Education, that's an infusion of funds within the academic space to help promote, support students that in many cases are financially challenged to continue their studies. And so there's also a government role with regard to our mission in increasing these numbers. So I say that all of those things, as all the panelists, all play unique roles. And I think all of us could provide some feedback on how we go about doing that.
Okay, right. I'm going to ask a series of questions, and Dr. Pollard-Larkin and Dr. Valentine Miller, feel free to also, like Dr. Hargrove, chime in. And I'm going to start with first, what is the first step for minority students in approaching a career in engineering? That's the first question. The second question is, what is the importance of mentoring, being mentored and seeking out mentors? And the third question is, how do you recommend seeking a mentor? So let's start with those three, and we'll start with you, Dr. Pollard-Larkin.
Hi, I'm Julianne Pollard-Larkin, and I'm gonna jump right in. If you like science, jump on it right away. What you need to understand is that you need to get those core courses in physics and math, which includes that algebraic math as well as calculus and everything, out of the way. Get that tutor if necessary as early as you can and establish your dominance in those core subjects. Once you have that under your feet, if you know that you're interested in becoming an engineer, talk to the other engineering students, see how they're doing. Start to look at what are the different degree paths that you can take and then where you can subspecialize in. Because myself as a physicist, I had to negotiate that path. Secondarily, trying to establish yourself also will require having someone who sees something in you that you don't see in yourself, i.e. the mentor. And then secondarily to that, someone known as an advocate, someone who will speak up for you and give you opportunities that you wouldn't have even thought about for yourself. That is a different kind of mentor. That's a person who puts their own skin in the game to make sure you succeed. The way to find these people is, number one, through your instructors. Establish a great relationship and rapport with them through the labs that you have and through relationships that you encounter by actually talking with them during the student and teacher office hours. Beyond that, do research. During the summer, start to do projects with these people so they know you as more than just the 1 out of 100 students they teach in a large class. Get to know them during the summer internships that you take, and there's things such as research experience for undergrads, REUs, that you should look up right now if you have nothing going on in your life. That will pay you $5,000 to $6,000 a summer, so please look into that.
Wonderful. How about you, Dr. Valentine Miller? What do you think of, what's your take on those first three questions?
Hi, I'm Jami Valentine Miller, and I think that Julianne really summed it up quite well. You want to prepare yourself by making sure that you've taken all of the appropriate coursework that you need, and you want to make sure that you take advantage of any opportunities that you can find to do research, whether it's on campus, at a nearby campus, or during a summer internship. One thing that you're also going to need is a stockpile of self-confidence. As other speakers have mentioned, you're going to be a minority in the engineering field. One of the great things that HBCUs do is that they prepare us to go out into that greater world with the confidence and knowledge that we are prepared for any challenges that may come to us. I didn't go to any of your wonderful schools. I started out at Florida A&M University in Tallahassee. But I want you to know that most of the PhDs who are African American got their start at an HBCU. Most of the Black judges, most of the Black doctors got their starts at an HBCU. So what you want to do is establish within yourself a fountain of confidence, knowing that the books that you're using in your classes are the same books that they're using at Harvard and Yale and wherever else. So as long as you're studying and you are learning the material, you'll be prepared to go out into the greater world.
Wonderful. So I'm going to start with the second set of 3 questions with you, Dr. Valentine Miller. What is the importance in identifying a role model? What makes a beneficial role model? Why should a high school student consider engineering as a career, and what do they do? And then the last set of questions, how do I succeed and navigate the tough engineer curriculum and college to graduate?
Well, you know, I think that role models come in many different shapes and forms. Of course, everyone is inspired by Mae Jemison or some of the other famous scientists who are out there, the hidden figures. But sometimes your role model might be your mom, who showed you that she worked really hard at everything that she did. It might be a teacher. It might be another person that you've come into contact. It might be someone from your church. So try to, what I try to do is gain something from all of the interactions that I have. I noticed that with the younger people, they're doing a lot of self-mentoring and I guess like setting role models for themselves. So I see that I might see a graduate student who's a first-year graduate student who is a clear role model to all of the undergraduates who are in our circle. I didn't do a full introduction, but I'm the founder of African American Women in Physics Incorporated. And so we help to inspire and to celebrate all of the Black women in physics at all different levels. So I see in our group that we have freshmen who are inspired by seniors, seniors who are inspired by graduate students, and graduate students who are inspired by professionals and professors. So I think that you should seek role models wherever they are, even if that's someone who's in the class with you.
Yes, I'm going to come back and ask you guys to tell us who you are, but I wanted to get these questions out because I think that your stories about who you are really adds to this discussion. So I'm going to ask the last question, and then we will open it up to others in general conversation. And then the last question is, how do I find external support via by scholarship to complete my STEM degree? Let's go back to Dr. Pollard-Larkin, and then you last, Dr. Valentine Miller.
Say the question one more time. I had a little hiccup and I missed your last statement.
How do I find external support via scholarship to complete my STEM degree?
Oh, for just the undergraduate level or the graduate?
Why don't we look at both?
Oh.
Okay, for undergraduate, hopefully that's already established for where you are right now, but you should look at all the things such as like Ford Foundation scholarships, as well as all the other large companies such as AT&T, and that is easily Googleable. But I want to tell you the secret about why you need to get into STEM this moment. For graduate degrees, master's level, not so much, but for PhD STEM degrees, the actual mentor pays for your education and even covers a cost of living as well. You receive a stipend, you pay to learn and work on their research projects. This is the big difference in the divide between STEM versus social sciences. So please keep that in mind as you pursue and decide whether or not you're going to get a high-paying eventual STEM career like myself, or if you're going to try the harder road but well-traveled social science degree. When in the graduate school realm, you most likely have to try to win funding somehow, but it's not guaranteed from your professor.
Okay, Dr. Valentine Miller, your response?
Yeah, I think that as you get further along in undergrad, it does become more of a challenge to secure extra funding. What worked out for me was I was able to do research in a lab on campus, and I was paid for that. I also did tutoring of other undergrads and high school students to finish out my senior year in college. But I would echo what Julianne said, which is if you go to graduate school in the STEM field, that they are going to pay you. You will not have to pay to go to complete your PhD. And I think that was the end of my point.
I think that because many of these questions have been discussed today, I think that we've just put a fine point on them. But I want to come back and talk about how both you, Dr. Pollard-Larkin, and you, Dr. Valentine Miller, talk about who you are. Tell us who you are, your current position, your academic rank. What is it that you're doing as your founder and CEO of companies? What is it that has set you apart? So tell us about who you are, and then what you think could be a personal journey for others like you.
Well, I'll go first.
Okay.
I am originally from the city of Philadelphia. I was recruited to FAMU by the alumni there, and I received a full scholarship, which was sponsored by a national laboratory. So every summer I had a summer internship that was already taken care of, and they paid me every summer to fly out to California to do research at Lawrence Livermore National Lab. Now, if you can imagine being, 17, 18, leaving Philly, going to college in Florida and flying back and forth to California. I grew up in the projects. This was not the life that I had imagined for myself. So right there, I was sold on FAMU and on HBCUs. After I left FAMU, I went to Brown University where I got a master's. And then I left Brown and I went to Johns Hopkins University where I finished my PhD in physics. I want the students to know that it's never a straight road. There were bumps in the way. There were times when I thought, I'm not going to be able to complete this degree. I'm going to have to go home and fry French fries. But as long as you persevere, pick yourself up and continue to try, that you will be successful. As I was leaving Hopkins, I was the first African-American woman to get a PhD in physics there. And I still felt a sense of isolation. So I decided to start keeping track of all of the Black women in physics. And we've been so fortunate to have so many here at this conference. I established the listing containing all of these women, and then later turned it into a nonprofit so that we could help to celebrate and offer a few scholarships. I left Hopkins and I went to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, which is located just outside of DC. But I've been a full-time teleworker here in Florida for almost 8 years now. So while some people are still making the adjustment to working from home, I've been doing it for a long time. I want everyone to know I'm not recruiting, but the Patent Office is the American Scientists and Engineers safety net. We are almost always hiring, and all we're looking for is a bachelor's degree in a STEM field. My job title is actually electrical engineer. I heard some speakers earlier say that you can't be an engineer without the engineering degree. All of my degrees are in physics, but my job title is electrical engineer. And I believe that you can take that professional engineer test, licensure test, with a STEM degree if you have the appropriate experience. So I've been at the Patent Office for about 15 years now, and I love it. I mean, I think the intellectual property affects everyone. Every one of us has had some idea where we see a product and say, man, I thought of that. I wish I had filed a patent for that. I'd be a millionaire now. I could retire. So I hope that I've given you a little bit of information about myself and about the Patent Office. And I'm open for questions after Julianne.
Well, tell us a little bit about how you came to found the African American Women in Physics Incorporation.
Yeah, well, right now, as we sit here today, there are approximately 100 Black women who have ever in the history of this country received a PhD in physics. And that number is just abysmal. So one of the things that we want to do is figure out ways to help to encourage people to persevere in these fields. And the best way to do that is to surround yourself with a good tribe. So even though you may be the only Black student at this, PWI working on your PhD, now you can connect through the internet and through our different groups so that you can talk to other people who are the only Black student in their department. You can talk about, how much quantum mechanics is giving you headaches, or how you can't find a date in Iowa or whatever the case may be. So one of the things that we do is we try to bring people together. It really started off just by trying to build a community around myself. And so we're really happy to be able to help so many other people.
Wonderful. Dr. Pollard-Larkin, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, believe it or not, I just realized something. Dr. Valentine Miller and myself have something in common beyond physics. I want to first give you just a big, let's raise the roof, very old and antiquated, I know, but I'm a Rattler's baby. Both of my parents are Rattlers, so that's why I care about what this HBC MOU is about, because I am the product of that, even if I didn't graduate from one of those. So I want you to know I feel you on both fronts. I mean, we should be besties. We're gonna have to end the call early.
Absolutely.
So I'm a physicist of a different flavor, all right? Don't get us confused. I'm a medical physicist, which means that I use my physics skills for good. I save lives every day. And the reason why I chose my particular career path is because my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer while I was doing one of those REUs, the research experience for undergrads that I mentioned before when I was just a physics undergrad student. And so once my mom got that diagnosis, I realized something, that I needed to change my own life trajectory to ensure the best quality of life that my mom could have. At that particular time, everything changed for me. I didn't just want to be an astrophysicist. All of a sudden, I wanted to know, what could I do to help all the other mamas out there? During the course of her treatment, she received radiotherapy. Now, this is something that I do believe lots of people, regardless of your background, are scared of. You don't have to be a minority to be scared of radiation. And so the first day of treatment, the most beautiful thing happened at her Miami Center. Everyone came into the room to explain to her, sorry, my video feed keeps losing out, but they came in and explained to her the process of how she would be treated and introduced her to the medical physicists on the team. I want you to know, my little 19-year-old self, my head blew. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what is a physicist going to do to help my mom? Why is he in the room? And he explained to me the role of calculating to the nth degree how much radiation dose is necessary to kill the tumor lodged in my mom's chest after her residual surgery. Once he explained to that, I developed a whole new life plan. I decided that this would be my career. I didn't know that as somebody in STEM, outside of being in medicine directly, that you could save lives. So all of a sudden, I decided that I would apply to every single medical physics program that was available back in that time. And trust me, it was only 7 at that particular time, but I did try out for every single one and got into the graduate program of my choice, and it was UCLA. There, I joined the biomedical physics program, got to start to do actual medical physics research, understanding exactly their interactions between radiation and matter, as well as within the cells, and how that actually changes the actual outcome for patients based upon how you actually modulate the beam. Once I started to see that and what was available and how many moms and dads and children that get impacted by this kind of work, oh, my whole entire life just changed. It made my teeth whiter. So getting that degree helped to really sound to me exactly, make me understand why STEM was so important and so vital. After that, I did what's called an actual physics residency program so that you can be working alongside the physicians and learn how to apply your physics skills such that you do save lives in a correct clinical manner and develop the clinical know-how just like your physician cohorts so that you can talk to one another readily as you work together once you become certified. I went through the process of getting certified, and now I'm actually a service chief for 2 different programs at MD Anderson Cancer Center. So I've been through the whole process of being the only one, the only Black woman in a lot of spaces, and the first in the biomedical physics program at UCLA and all of that. And I will tell you, being the only chocolate drop is not the end of the world. It brings on the attention, which is both a plus and a minus. Use that glory to your advantage with all the eyes on you because you feel it. You feel it. Go ahead, brush your shoulders off and give them something to look at. That's what I'm going to tell you. And so I just want you to own it. Find something that speaks to your heart. So when you have those long, dark nights of, why did I get into this? I hate this stuff. This is boring. All of a sudden, your why is bigger than the big what that's facing you right then. And that's what's going to carry you through. Remember why you're getting into it. And I'll tell you, for me, medical physics is the biggest thing that ever happened to me. And I am so happy every single day I get to reach out, touch a patient, and help them live that much more longer.
Can you tell us what your current job is?
So as a medical physicist, we actually work alongside our physicians, radiation oncologists, and actually deliver treatment to the patient in the therapy clinic. So I am a service chief, which means I overrun a group of medical physicists who help to oversee the processes for thoracic and GI radiation oncology treatment.
Wonderful. And you're an associate professor at MD Anderson Cancer Center.
Cancer Center, correct.
Yes. All righty. Well, we have 2 questions in the chat box. Dr. Miller, how is it that you are an electrical engineer but got a degree in physics? I'm looking to take that route. And so this is Andrea Thomas who's asking that question.
Well, I would say to Andrea, as a physicist, you know, we believe we can do anything because all science and engineering is based in physics. So what you want to look at is what is the job looking for. A lot of times as physicists, we feel like, oh, well, they're not hiring physicists, so I'm not going to apply. That would be a mistake. Employers are looking for skill sets. They're looking for people who can have critical thinking skills. They're looking for people who can attack difficult problems and break them down and solve them. And that's what physicists do. So there's plenty of physicists whose job title includes the word engineer. Make sure that when you're looking, look at the skill sets that they're looking for and match it up to the things that you have to offer.
Wonderful. Any other response to Ms. Thomas? I think that's an excellent response. There was also someone that wanted to know the name of the nonprofit scholarship fund. So if Dr. Miller, Valentine Miller, is there, do you have some names of nonprofit scholarships?
Yes, we're a very small nonprofit, but we're scrappy. So we do some scrambling to make sure that we get money for students when it's needed. If you go to our website at aawip.com, you'll find how you can connect with us there. And we can, we don't really advertise our scholarship because our numbers are so incredibly small. But once you connect with us, it'll be very simple to find out.
Wonderful.
Dr.
Yes, another question?
Yeah, I just want to say how inspired I am by Dr. Pollard-Larkin and Dr. Valentine. Incredible personal stories of achievement and purpose. And so I commend you both, and certainly serving as a role model, even for professionals, but certainly our college students as well. One of the questions was about finding support. So at the undergraduate level, I think they hit the nail on the head about involved in undergraduate research. But for those that are majoring in biology, chemistry, and physics is the foundation of engineering, Dr. Valentine Miller. So you're exactly right about that. But I would encourage you, if you're interested in pursuing a master's or a PhD, the GEM program is Graduate Engineering for Minorities, but they offer support for all majors in STEM. Just Google GEM organization. They provide a lot of support for those that are interested in pursuing a master's or PhD. In addition to that, find the school that you want to go to and demand to see what kind of funding that they have. Most of your major institutions have funds for underrepresented groups in STEM disciplines. And so the opportunity for you to get a master's or PhD is there with majority, if not all of the support to get that graduate degree.
Wonderful. I also wanted to, we're winding down, and I think we're gonna end a few minutes early, and I think you all would appreciate that because this has been an exciting day. I do want to clarify a couple of things about medical school versus engineering school. While you may have a degree in English or in the humanities, it is a requirement that you have STEM courses. And if you go to medical school and you are, before you can even get accepted, they won't even look at your application, not unless you have done biology, chemistry, the sciences. They also now are asking you to participate in what we're calling emotional intelligence kinds of things, and have some humanity courses, you know, literature, drama, you know, those kinds of things. But your score is really important. Before any student can walk through the school, any school of medicine, you've got to take some national exams. And one of them is that ultimately that colleges consider, it's not the BN all, but it's the MCAT. And now they've changed the MCAT score so that it's much more of a totalitarian score, representing your total experience. So while engineering is particular and spectacular, there are requirements for medicine as well. And if you want medicine and you want engineering and you're in the humanities, you've got to take some science courses. So that means that if you are a first year student and you got this hankering that you want to be a doctor, but you're taking, you chose English and or math, you want to seek out an advisor right away, and you want to start studying and doing the research. And the speakers that have been here today have been incredible and passionate. I would say to the students who are listening that they would not mind getting a call from you or an email, because they too can get you on the right path. And so I want to, Dr. Hargrove looked like he wants to say something else before we segue to the closing of the session. Dr. Hargraves?
No, I will yield to Dr. Valentine Miller. I was just again going to say how much I appreciate this day and the feedback and the stories and the inspiration for everyone that's been on this conference. So Dr. Valentine Miller.
Yes, I wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Dr. Matthews-Juarez was saying. One of the things that I do is to help physicists go into non-traditional career paths. So I actually have some data for you on medical school exams versus majors. When you take the MCAT exam and they look at what majors are people majoring in and what are the top scores, the top two majors, mathematics and physics.
That's right.
Looking at the business school exam, the top two majors, mathematics and physics. And when you look at the law school entry exam, which by the way, is just a logic test. They even have a section called logic games. Mathematics, physics, statistics, and astro are the top majors for taking that LSAT. So you can take this bachelor's degree and you can go off and into any number of directions. While of course we're encouraging you to go towards medicine and towards engineering, trust your heart and follow your instincts and do the things that your heart really wants to do.
That's right.
I also want to point out that the careers of the future honestly have not been invented yet.
That's
when
right.
I was an undergrad, there was no career called influencer, there was no data scientist, and there were only 5 engineering majors. Now there's like 15 or 20. So get a solid foundation in your fundamental sciences and you'll be well prepared to go out into the world.
That's right. That excellent advice. As we wrap up this wonderful day, I want to bring back Dr. Bernadette Hintz. And I want to talk about just 3 points. One, that when we wrote this grant back in 2016, we spent a lot of time thinking about how could we help HBCUs get into engineering. And there had been a program that had been started by Tennessee State with Lamorne Owens and with Lane. And I read about it and thought about it, and we sort of put it in the grant as a consortium of schools. Dr. Hentz was very excited about that. However, it had never been done before. So again, I want to tell you how I really respect her flexibility, her vision, and her forthrightness when it comes down to making it happen for HBCUs. I couldn't attend the first meeting, the program directors meeting, but Veronica Burns, who is the program director for the program, who you'll meet tomorrow, went to that meeting along with Dr. Sheila Peters. They took pictures with Dr. Hansen. They had a fabulous time. And as they were leaving, they started to talk about, why don't we look at the MOU that we used to have with the other HBCUs? And out of that came a meeting during a blizzard. It wasn't quite a blizzard, a snowstorm in Tennessee, in Nashville. And we were sitting in the room with Dr. Keith Hargrove, Sheila Peters, Veronica Burns, John Barfield, the prior program coordinator, and Dr. Francis Williams, who is the chair of the Department of Engineering. And out of that, in December, came this wonderful agreement. And so, as I offered in the last session to present this to Dr. Hentz, we have now presented it as our outcome measure, and would like to have her say a few words as we began to conclude this wonderful session with these exciting presenters. Dr. Hentz?
Can you hear me?
Yes, your mic is on.
Great.
And
oh my goodness.
And we see you.
I am so excited. I did not expect to hear about this MOU today. This is wonderful. It is so exciting to find so many colleges that can work together and come up with such an outstanding, stupendous, horrendous, large, grand outcome. I cannot wait to write this up for the department. I don't know how we're all going to be able to take a picture together, but we have to some kind of way Photoshop a picture and let everybody know what you've accomplished. Perhaps this will be a role model for some of the other schools. It's difficult to start an engineering program. It is expensive to start an engineering program. So to leverage your energy, your efforts, your commitment, your tenacity, and to get an outcome in such a short period of time. Y'all have just worked wonders. I am so proud of you, and I can't wait to share this with the Department of Education leadership. Thank you for all that you have done for the students in the future, for everyone in the United States. You have done a tremendous service to our country.
Well, thank you so much, and kudos to you too. We applaud you. We can put together a screenshot of the presidents and Dr. Hildreth. We can put together and all of the individuals that participated. So we'll do that and put you in the center of it.
I don't have to be in the center, but that would be so wonderful. The department would really cherish knowing this information.
Wonderful. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone that was participating. And I want to thank the last panel because it's always the hardest. The last panel is always the hardest. So I want to thank Dr. Julianne Pollard-Larkin, Section Chief of the GI and Thoracic Services, Department of Radiology Physics, Associate Professor at MD Anderson Cancer Center. Jami Valentine Miller, founder and CEO, African American Women in Physics, Inc., primary patent examiner, U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. I want to thank, special thanks goes out to Keith Hargrove, PhD, and all those other funny little letters behind his name. I recognize the MBA, and now I know it's the PE, what the PE is. He is Dean and Professor of Mechanical and Manufacturing Engineering at Tennessee State University, and he's our new program coordinator at TSU. And so we owe a lot of thanks to TSU for putting us on this path. So thank you again. And I have no other closing comments, but to say this has been stellar. This has been more than we could have ever expected. And we thank you, One Joshua Group. You have made this seem so real, even though we're so far apart. So thank you again. And guys, go have a great time and Godspeed. Thank you, Dr. Hintz.
Thank you again for your participation and
Dr.
for sharing your expertise
Matthews-Juarez.
as we work to
You're
increase
welcome.
women and minorities in engineering careers. This has been a production of One Joshua Group, your strategic source of engagement to achieve health equity.